Judi Dench.
Dame Judith Olivia Judi Dench, DBE FRSA is an English film, stage and television actress, occasional singer and author. Dench made her professional debut in 1957 with the Old Vic Company. Over the following few years she played in several of Shakespeare's plays in such roles as Ophelia in Hamlet, Juliet in Romeo and Juliet and Lady Macbeth in Macbeth. She branched into film work, and won a BAFTA Award as Most Promising Newcomer. However, most of her work during this period was in theatre. Not generally known as a singer, she drew strong reviews for her leading role in the musical Cabaret in 1968. Over the next 2 decades, she established herself as one of the most significant British theatre performers, working for the National Theatre Company and the Royal Shakespeare Company. In television, she achieved success during this period, in the series A Fine Romance from 1981 until 1984 and in 1992 began a continuing role in the television romantic comedy series As Time Goes By. Her film appearances were infrequent until she was cast as M in GoldenEye, 1995, a role she continued to play in James Bond films through to Skyfall, 2012. She received several notable film awards for her role as Queen Victoria in Mrs. Brown, 1997, and has since been acclaimed for her work in such films as Shakespeare in Love, 1998, receiving the Academy Award for Best Supporting Actress, Chocolate, 2000, Iris, 2001, Mrs. Henderson Presents, 2005, Notes on a Scandal, 2006, and Philomena, 2013, and the television production The Last of the Blonde Bombshells, 2001. Dench has received many award nominations for her acting in theatre, film and television. Her awards include 11 BAFTAs, including the BAFTA Fellowship in 2001, 7 Laurence Olivier Awards, including the Society's Special Award, 2 Screen Actors Guild Awards, 2 Golden Globes, an Academy Award, and a Tony Award. In June 2011, she received a fellowship from the British Film Institute, BFI. In 1988, she was made a Dame for services to the performing arts by Queen Elizabeth II. She was married to actor Michael Williams from 1971 until his death in 2001. They are the parents of actress Finty Williams.
Early life.
Dench was born in Haworth, York, England. Her mother, Eleanor Olive, née Jones, was born in Dublin, Ireland. Her father, Reginald Arthur Dench, a doctor, was born in Dorset, southwest England, and later moved to Dublin, where he was raised. He met Judy's mother while he was studying medicine at Trinity College, Dublin. Dench attended the Mount School, a Quaker independent secondary school in York, and became a Quaker. Her brothers, one of whom was actor Geoffrey Dench, were born in Tyldesley, Lancashire. Notable relatives also include her niece, Emma Dench, a Roman historian and professor previously at Birkbeck, University of London, and currently at Harvard University.
Career.
In Britain, Dench has developed a reputation as one of the greatest actors of the post-war period, primarily through her work in theatre, which has been her forte throughout her career. She has more than once been named #1 in polls for Britain's Best Actor.
Early years.
Through her parents, Dench had regular contact with the theatre. Her father, a physician, was also the GP for the York Theatre, and her mother was its wardrobe mistress. Actors often stayed in the Dench household. During these years, Judi Dench was involved on a non-professional basis in the first 3 productions of the modern revival of the York mystery plays in the 1950s. In 1957, in one of the last productions in which she appeared during this period, she played the role of the Virgin Mary, performed on a fixed stage in the museum gardens. Though she initially trained as a set designer, she became interested in drama school as her brother Jeff attended the Central School of Speech and Drama. She applied and was accepted, where she was a classmate of Vanessa Redgrave, graduating with a first-class degree in drama and 4 acting prizes, one being the gold medal as outstanding student. In September 1957, she made her first professional stage appearance with the Old Vic Company, at the Royal Court Theatre, Liverpool, as Ophelia in Hamlet, then her London debut in the same production at the Old Vic. She remained a member of the company for 4 seasons, 1957 to 1961, her roles including Catherine in Henry V in 1958, which was also her New York debut, and as Juliet in Romeo and Juliet in October 1960, directed and designed by Franco Zeffirelli. During this period, she toured the United States and Canada, and appeared in Yugoslavia and at the Edinburgh Festival. She joined the Royal Shakespeare Company in December 1961 playing Anaya in the Cherry Orchard at the Old Vic Theatre in London, and made her Stratford-upon-Avon debut in April 1962 as Isabella in Measure for Measure. She subsequently spent seasons in repertory both with the Playhouse in Nottingham from January 1963, including a West African tour as Lady Macbeth for the British Council, and with the Playhouse Company in Oxford from April 1964. That same year, she made her film debut in The Third Secret.
Prominence.
The 1966 BAFTA Award for Most Promising Newcomer to Leading Film Roles was made to Dench for her performance in 4 in the Morning, and this was followed in 1968 by a BAFTA Television Best Actress Award for her role in John Hopkins' 1966 BBC drama Talking to a Stranger. In 1968, she was offered the role of Sally Bowles in the musical Cabaret. As Sheridan Morley later reported, at first she thought they were joking. She had never done a musical and she has an unusual croaky voice which sounds as if she has a permanent cold. So frightened was she of singing in public that she auditioned from the wings, leaving the pianists alone on stage. But when it opened at the Palace Theatre in February 1968, Frank Marcus, reviewing for Plays and Players, commented that, "She sings well. The title song in particular is projected with great feeling." After a long run in Cabaret, she rejoined the RSC, making numerous appearances with the company in Stratford and London for nearly 20 years, winning several Best Actress awards. Among her roles with the RSC, she was the Duchess in John Webster's The Duchess of Malfi in 1971. In the Stratford 1976 season, and then at the Old Vic in 1977, she gave 2 comedy performances, first in Trevor Nunn's musical staging of the Comedy of Errors as Adriana, then partnered with Donald Sinden as Beatrice and Benedict in John Barton's British Raj revival of Much Ado About Nothing. As Bernard Levin wrote in the Sunday Times, demonstrating once more that she is a comic actress of consummate skill, perhaps the very best we have. One of her most notable achievements with the RSC was her performance as Lady Macbeth in 1976. Nunn's acclaimed production of Macbeth was first staged with a minimalist design at the Other Place Theatre in Stratford. Its small round stage focused attention on the psychological dynamics of the characters, and both Ian McKellen in the title role, and Dench, received exceptionally favourable notices. "If this is not great acting, I don't know what is," wrote Michael Billington in The Guardian. "It will astonish me if the performance is matched by any in this actress's generation," commented J.C. Trewin in The Lady. The production transferred to London, opening at the Donmar Warehouse in September 1977, and was adapted for television, later released on VHS and DVD. Dench won the SWT Best Actress Award in 1977. Dench was nominated for a BAFTA for her role as Hazel Wiles in the 1979 BBC drama On Giant's Shoulders. In 1989, she was cast as Prue Forrest, the longtime silent wife of Tom Forrest, in the BBC soap opera The Archers on its 10,000th edition. She had a romantic role in the BBC television film Languish, Go Down, 1978, with Jeremy Irons and a screenplay by Harold Pinter from the Aidan Higgins novel, directed by David Jones, in which she played one of 3 spinster sisters living in a fading Irish mansion in the Waterford countryside. Dench made her debut as a director in 1988 with the Renaissance Theatre Company's touring season, Renaissance Shakespeare on the Road, co-produced with the Birmingham Rep, and ending with a 3-month repertory programme at the Phoenix Theatre in London. Dench's contribution was a staging of Much Ado About Nothing, set in the Napoleonic era, which starred Kenneth Branagh and Samantha Bond as Benedict and Beatrice. She has made numerous appearances in the West End, including the role of Miss Trant in the 1974 musical version of The Good Companions at Her Majesty's Theatre. In 1981, Dench was due to play the title role of Grisabella in the original production of Cats, but was forced to pull out due to a torn Achilles tendon, leaving Elaine Page to play the role. She has acted with the National Theatre in London, where she played an unforgettable Cleopatra in Antony and Cleopatra, 1987. In September 1995, she played Desiree Armfeldt in a major revival of Stephen Sondheim's A Little Night Music, for which she won an Olivier Award.
Popular success.
After the long period between James Bond films License to Kill, 1989, and GoldenEye, 1995, the producers brought in Dench to take over as the role of M, James Bond's boss. Reportedly modelled on Dame Stella Rymington, the real-life head of MI5 between 1992 and 1996, Dench became the first woman to portray the character, succeeding Robert Brown. The 17th spy film in the series and the first to star Pierce Brosnan as the fictional MI6 officer, GoldenEye marked the first Bond film made after the dissolution of the Soviet Union and the end of the Cold War, which provided the plot's backstory. The film earned a worldwide gross of $350.7 million, with critics viewing the film as a modernization of the series. In 1997, Dench appeared in her first starring film role as Queen Victoria in John Madden's teleplay Mrs. Brown, which depicts Victoria's relationship with her personal servant and favourite John Brown, played by Billy Connolly. Filmed with the intention of being shown on BBC One and on WGBH's Masterpiece Theatre, it was eventually acquired by Miramax mogul Harvey Weinstein, who felt the drama film should receive a theatrical release after seeing it and took it from the BBC to US cinemas. Released to generally positive reviews and unexpected commercial success, going on to earn more than $13 million worldwide, the film was screened in the Uncertain Regards section at the 1997 Cannes Film Festival. For her performance, Dench garnered universal acclaim by critics and was awarded her fourth BAFTA and first Best Actress nomination at the 70th Academy Awards. In 2011, while accepting a British Film Institute Award in London, Dench commented that the project launched her Hollywood career and joked that it was thanks to Harvey, whose name I have had tattooed on my bum ever since. Dench's other film of 1997 was Roger Spottiswood's Tomorrow Never Dies, her second film in the James Bond series. The spy film follows Bond, played by Brosnan, as he tries to stop a media mogul from engineering world events and starting World War III. Shot in France, Thailand, Germany, the United Kingdom, Vietnam and the South China Sea, it performed well at the box office and earned a Golden Globe nomination despite mixed reviews. The same year, Dench re-teamed with director John Madden to film Shakespeare in Love, 1998, a romantic comedy drama that depicts a love affair involving playwright William Shakespeare, played by Joseph Fiennes, while he was writing the play Romeo and Juliet. On her performance as Queen Elizabeth I, the New York Times commented that Dench's shrewd, daunting Elizabeth is one of the film's utmost treats. The following year, she was nominated for most of the high-profile awards, winning both the Academy Award and the BAFTA Award for Best Actress in a Supporting Role. On her Oscar win, Dench joked on stage, "I feel for 8 minutes on the screen I should only get a little bit of him." Also in 1999, Dench won the Tony Award for her 1999 Broadway performance in the role of S. Malin in Sir David Hare's Amy's View. The same year, she co-starred along with Cher, Joan Plowright, Maggie Smith, and Lily Tomlin in Franco Zeffirelli's semi-autobiographical period drama Tea with Mussolini, which tells the story of young Italian boy Luca's upbringing by a circle of British and American women, before and during World War II.
2001 to 2005.
In January 2001, Dench's husband Michael Williams died from lung cancer. Dench went to Nova Scotia, Canada, almost immediately after Williams's funeral to begin production on Lasse Hallström's drama film The Shipping News, a therapy she later credited as her rescue. "People, friends, kept saying, 'You are not facing up to it. You need to face up to it,' and maybe they were right, but I felt I was, in the acting. Grief supplies you with an enormous amount of energy. I needed to use that up. In between, Dench finished work on Richard Eyre's film Iris, 2001, in which she portrayed novelist Iris Murdoch. Dench shared her role with Kate Winslet, both actors portraying Murdoch at different phases of her life. Each of them was nominated for an Academy Award the following year, earning Dench her fourth nomination within 5 years. In addition, she was awarded both an ALFS Award and the Best Leading Actress Award at the 55th British Academy Film Awards. Following Iris, Dench immediately returned to Canada to finish The Shipping News alongside Kevin Spacey and Julianne Moore. Based on the Pulitzer Prize-winning novel by Annie Proulx, the drama revolves around a quiet and introspective typesetter, Spacey, who, after the death of his daughter's mother, moves to Newfoundland along with his daughter and his aunt, played by Dench, in hopes of starting his life anew in the small town where she grew up. The film earned mixed reviews from critics, and was financially unsuccessful, taking in just $24 million worldwide with a budget of $35 million. Dench, however, received BAFTA and SAG Award nominations for her performance. In 2002, Dench was cast opposite Rupert Everett, Colin Firth and Reese Witherspoon in Oliver Parker's The Importance of Being Earnest, a comedy about mistaken identity set in English high society during the Victorian era. Based on Oscar Wilde's classic comedy of manners of the same name, she portrayed Lady Bracknell, a role she had repeatedly played before, including a stint at the Royal National Theatre in 1982. The film was released to lukewarm reactions by critics, who called it breezy entertainment, helped by an impressive cast, but felt that it also suffered from some peculiar directorial choices and earned just $17.3 million during its limited release. Dench's other film of 2002 was Die Another Day, the 20th installment in the James Bond series. The lead Tamahori-directed spy film marked her fourth appearance as MI6 head M and the franchise's last performance by Pierce Brosnan as Bond. Die Another Day received generally mixed reviews by critics who praised Tamahori's work on the film, but claimed the plot was damaged by excessive use of CGI. Regardless, it became the highest-grossing James Bond film up to that time. In 2004, Dench appeared as Aeron, an ambassador of the elemental race who helps uncover the mysterious past of Richard B. Riddick, played by Van Diesel, in David Twohy's science fiction sequel, The Chronicles of Riddick. Selected by Diesel, who prompted writers to recreate the character to fit a female persona because he wanted to work with the actor, she called filming tremendous fun, although she had absolutely no idea what was going on in the plot. The film was a critical and box office failure. In his review of the film, James Berardinelli from Real Views remarked that he felt that Dench's character served nothing more a useful purpose than to give an opportunity to appear in a science fiction movie. She followed Riddick with a more traditional role in Charles Dance's English drama Ladies in Lavender, also starring friend Maggie Smith. In the film, Dench plays one half of a sister duo and takes it upon herself to nurse a washed-up stranger to health, eventually finding herself falling for a man many decades younger than she. The specialty release garnered positive reviews from critics, with Roger Ebert of the Chicago Sun-Times calling it perfectly sweet and civilized, a pleasure to watch Smith and Dench together. Their acting is so natural it could be breathing. Also in 2004, Dench provided her voice for several smaller projects. In Walt Disney's Home on the Range, she, along with Roseanne Barr and Jennifer Tilly, voiced a mismatched trio of dairy cows who must capture an infamous cattle rustler, for his bounty, in order to save their idyllic farm from foreclosure. The film was mildly successful for Disney. A major hit for Dench came with Joe Wright's Pride and Prejudice, a 2005 adaptation of the novel by Jane Austen, starring Keira Knightley and Donald Sutherland. Wright persuaded Dench to join the cast as Lady Catherine de Bourgh by writing her a letter that read, "I love it when you play a bitch. Please come and be a bitch for me." Dench had only 1 week available to shoot her scenes, forcing Wright to make them his first days of filming. With both a worldwide gross of over $121 million and several Academy Award and Golden Globe nominations, the film became a critical and commercial success.
2006 to 2010.
Dench in her role as M was the only cast member carried through from the Brosnan films to appear in Casino Royale, 2006, Martin Campbell's reboot of the James Bond film series, starring Daniel Craig in his debut performance as the fictional MI6 agent. The thriller received largely positive critical response, with reviewers highlighting Craig's performance and the reinvention of the character of Bond. It earned over $594 million worldwide, ranking it among the highest-grossing James Bond films ever released. In April 2006, Dench returned to the West End stage in Hay Fever alongside Peter Bowles, Belinda Lang and Kim Metcalfe. She finished off 2006 with the role of Mistress Quickly in the RSC's new musical The Merry Wives, a version of The Merry Wives of Windsor. Dench appeared opposite Kate Blanchett as a bitter, creepy and iron-fisted London teacher with a dedicated fondness for vulnerable women in Richard Eyre's 2006 drama film Notes on a Scandal, an adaptation from the 2003 novel of the same name by Zoe Heller. A fan of Heller's book, Dench was thrilled to be asked to play that woman, to try to find a humanity in that dreadful person. The specialty film opened to generally positive reviews and commercial success, grossing $50 million worldwide, exceeding its PS15 million budget. In his review for Chicago Sun-Times film critic Roger Ebert declared the main actress is perhaps the most impressive acting duo in any film of 2006. Dench and Blanchett are magnificent. The following year, Dench earned her sixth Academy nomination and went on to win a BAFTA Award and an Evening Standard Award. Dench, as Miss Mattie Jenkins, co-starred with Eileen Atkins, Michael Gambon, Imelda Staunton and Francesca Annis in the BBC One 5-part series Cranford. The first season of the series began transmission in November 2007. Dench became the voice for the narration for the updated Walt Disney World Epcot attraction Spaceship Earth in February 2008. The same month, she was named as the first official patron of the York Youth Mysteries 2008. A project to allow young people to explore the York Mystery Plays through dance, filmmaking and circus. Her only film of 2008 was Mark Forster's Quantum of Solace, the 22nd Eon-produced James Bond film, in which she reprised her role as M along with Daniel Craig. A direct sequel to the 2006 film Casino Royale, Forster felt Dench was underused in the previous films and wanted to make her part bigger, having her interact with Bond more. The project gathered generally mixed reviews by critics who mainly felt that Quantum of Solace was not as impressive as the predecessor Casino Royale, but became another hit for the franchise with a worldwide gross of $591 million. For her performance, Dench was nominated for a Saturn Award the following year. Dench returned to the West End in mid-2009, playing Madame de Montreal and Yukio Mishima's play Madame de Sade, directed by Michael Grandage as part of the Don Mas season at Wyndham's Theatre. The same year, she appeared in Sally Potter's experimental film Rage, a project that featured 14 actors playing fictional figures in and around the fashion world, giving monologues before a plain backdrop. Attracted to the fact that it was unlike anything she had done before, Dench welcomed the opportunity to work with Potter. "I like to do something that's not expected, or predictable. I had to learn to smoke a joint, and I set my trousers alight," she said about filming. Her next film was Rob Marshall's musical film 9, based on Arthur Kopit's book for the 1982 musical of the same name, itself suggested by Federico Fellini's semi-autobiographical film 81/2. Also starring Daniel Day-Lewis, Marion Cotillard, Penelope Cruz, and Sophia Loren, she played Lily Lafleur, an eccentric but motherly French costume designer, who performs the song Foley's Burgers in the film. Despite mixed negative reviews, 9 was nominated for 4 Academy Awards, and awarded both the Satellite Award for Best Film and Best Cast. Also in 2009, Dench reprised the role of Matilda Jenkins in Return to Cranford, the 2-part second season of a Simon Curtis television series. Critically acclaimed, Dench was nominated for a Golden Globe Award, a Primetime Emmy Award, and a Satellite Award. In 2010, she renewed her collaboration with Peter Hall at the Rose Theatre in Kingston upon Thames in A Midsummer Night's Dream, which opened in February 2010. She played Titania as Queen Elizabeth I in her later years, almost 50 years after she first played the role for the Royal Shakespeare Company. In July 2010, Dench performed Send in the Clowns at a special celebratory promenade concert from the Royal Albert Hall as part of the prom season, in honor of composer Stephen Sondheim's 80th birthday.
2011-present.
In 2011, Dench starred in Jane Eyre, My Week with Marilyn and J. Edgar. In Kari Joji Fukunaga's period drama Jane Eyre, based on the 1847 novel of the same name by Charlotte Bronte, she played the short role of Alice Fairfax, housekeeper to Rochester, the aloof and brooding master of Thornfield Hall, where main character Jane, played by Mia Wasikowska, gets employed as a governess. Dench reportedly signed on to the project after she had received a humorous personal note from Fukunaga, in which he promised her that she'd be the sexiest woman on set if she did the film. Acclaimed among critics, it was a mediocre art house success at the box office, grossing $30.5 million worldwide. In Simon Curtis' My Week with Marilyn, which depicts the making of the 1957 film The Prince and the Showgirl starring Marilyn Monroe and Laurence Olivier, Dench played actress Sybil Thorndike. The film garnered largely positive reviews, and earned Dench a Best Actress in a Supporting Role nomination at the 65th BAFTA Awards. Dench's last film of 2011 was Clint Eastwood's J. Edgar, a biographical drama film about the career of FBI Director J. Edgar Hoover, played by Leonardo DiCaprio, from the Palmer raids onwards, including an examination of his private life as a closeted homosexual. Hand-picked by Eastwood to play Anna Marie Hoover, Hoover's mother, Dench initially thought a friend was setting her up upon receiving Eastwood's phone call request. "I didn't take it seriously to start with. And then I realized it was really him and that was a tricky conversation," she stated. Released to mixed reception, both with critics and commercially, the film went on to gross $79 million worldwide. The same year, Dench reunited with Rob Marshall and Johnny Depp for a cameo appearance in Pirates of the Caribbean, on Stranger Tides, playing a noblewoman who is robbed by Captain Jack Sparrow, played by Depp. She made a second cameo that year in Ray Cooney's Run for Your Wife. In 2011, Dench reunited with director John Madden on the set of the comedy drama The Best Exotic Marigold Hotel, 2012, starring an ensemble cast also consisting of Celia Imrie, Bill Nighy, Ronald Pickup, Maggie Smith, Tom Wilkinson and Penelope Wilton as a group of British pensioners moving to a retirement hotel in India, run by the young and eager Sunny, played by Dev Patel. Released to positive reviews by critics, who declared the film a sweet story about the senior set featuring a top-notch cast of veteran actors, it became a surprise box office hit following its international release, eventually grossing $134 million worldwide, mostly from its domestic run. Best Exotic Marigold Hotel was ranked among the highest-grossing specialty releases of the year, and Dench, who Peter Travers from Rolling Stone called Resilient Marvel, garnered a Best Actress nod at both the British Independent Film Awards and Golden Globe Awards. Also in 2012, Friend Request Pending, an indie short film which Dench had filmed in 2011, received a wide release as part of the feature film Stars and Shorts and the Joy of Six. In the 12-minute comedy, directed by My Week with Marilyn assistant director Chris Foggin on a budget of just $5,000, she portrays a pensioner grappling with a crush on her church choir master and the art of cyber-flirting via social networking. Dench made her seventh and final appearance as M in the 23rd James Bond film, Skyfall, 2012, directed by Sam Mendes. In the film, Bond investigates an attack on MI6. It transpires that it is part of an attack on M by former MI6 operative, Raoul Silva, played by Javier Bardem, to humiliate, discredit and kill M as revenge against her for betraying him. Dench's position as M was subsequently filled by Ralph Fiennes' character. Coinciding with the 50th anniversary of the James Bond series, Skyfall was positively received by critics and at the box office, grossing over $1 billion worldwide, and became the highest-grossing film of all time in the UK and the highest-grossing film in the James Bond series. Critics called Dench's Saturn Awards-nominated performance compellingly luminous. In 2013, Dench starred as the title character in the Stephen Frears-directed film, Philomena, a film inspired by true events of a woman looking for the son which the Catholic Church took from her a half-century before. The film was screened in the main competition section of the 70th Venice International Film Festival, where it was very favorably received by critics. On Dench's performance, The Times commented that this is Dench's triumph. At 78, she has a golden career behind her, often as queens and other frosty matriarchs. So the warmth under pressure she radiates here is nearly a surprise. Dench gives a performance of grace, nuance and cinematic heroism. She was subsequently nominated for many major acting awards, including a 7th Academy Award nomination.
Personal life.
On February 5, 1971, Dench married British actor Michael Williams and they had their only child, Tara Cressida Frances Williams, known professionally as Finty Williams, on September 24, 1972. Dench and her husband starred together in several stage productions, and the Bob Larby British television sitcom, A Fine Romance, 1981-84. Michael Williams died from lung cancer in 2001, aged 65. In early 2012, Dench discussed her macular degeneration, with one eye dry, and the other wet, for which she has been treated with injections into the eye. She said that she needs someone to read scripts to her. In 2013, she spoke about her personal religious faith. Dench, a Quaker, said, "I think it informs everything I do. I couldn't be without it."
Public life.
Dench was appointed an Officer of the Order of the British Empire, OBE, in 1970 and made a Dame Commander of the Order of the British Empire, DBE, in 1988. She was appointed a Companion of the Order of the Companions of Honour, CH, in 2005. In June 2011, she became a Fellow of the British Film Institute, BFI. Dench is a patron of the Leavenworths, Friends School Saffron Walden, the Archway Theatre, Hawley, Surrey and 1+1 Marriage and Partnership Research, London. She became President of Mount View Academy of Theatre Arts in London in 2006, taking over from Sir John Mills, and is President of Questors Theatre, Ealing. In May 2006, she became an Honorary Fellow of the Royal Society of Arts, FRSA. She was also patron of Ovingdean Hall School, a special day and boarding school for the deaf and hard of hearing in Brighton, which closed in 2010, and Vice President of the Little Foundation. Dench is an Honorary Fellow of Lucy Cavendish College, Cambridge. In 1996, she was awarded a D.Litt. degree from Surrey University and in 2000 to 2001 she received an honorary D.Litt. degree from Durham University. In July 2000, she was awarded a D.Litt. degree by Queen Margaret University, Edinburgh, where she actively supported their drama school at the Gateway Theatre on Elm Row. On June 24, 2008, she was honoured by the University of St Andrews, receiving an honorary D.Litt. degree at the university's graduation ceremony. On June 26, 2013, she was honoured by the University of Stirling, receiving an honorary doctorate at the university's graduation ceremony in recognition of her outstanding contribution to the arts, particularly to film. She was listed as one of the 50 best-dressed over 50s by The Guardian in March 2013.
Political and social interests and involvement.
Dench has worked with the non-governmental indigenous organization, Survival International, campaigning in the defense of the tribal people, the San of Botswana and the Ahuako of Colombia. She made a small supporting video saying the San are victims of tyranny, greed and racism. On July 22, 2010, Dench was awarded an honorary degree of Doctor of Letters, Lit., by Nottingham Trent University. The Dr. Hayden Trust announced on January 15, 2011 that Dench had become a patron of the trust, joining, among others, Joanna Lumley and David Shepherd. On March 19, 2012 it was announced that Dench was to become honorary patron of the charity Everton in the Community, the official charity of Everton FC, and it was revealed that Dench is an Everton supporter. She is an advisor to the American Shakespeare Center. She is a patron of the Shakespeare Schools Festival, a charity that enables schoolchildren across the UK to perform Shakespeare in professional theatres. She is patron of East Park Riding for the Disabled, a riding school for disabled children at Newchapel, Surrey. Dench is also a vice president of national charity Vitalise, that provides accessible holidays for those with disabilities. In 2011, along with musician Sting and billionaire entrepreneur Richard Branson, she publicly urged policymakers to adopt more progressive drug policies by decriminalising drug use. Dame Judi Dench is also a patron of the Karuna Trust, a charity that supports work amongst some of India's poorest and most oppressed people, mainly though not exclusively Dalits.
Discography.
Pericles, 1968, Shakespeare Recording Society, Caedmon Records, Cabaret, 1968, Original London Cast Album CBS, 1973, The Good Companions, 1974, Original London Cast Recording, 1974, A Midsummer Night's Dream, 1995. From Felix Mendelssohn as recitant. Conducted by Seiji Azura, A Little Night Music, 1995, by Stephen Sondheim, Royal National Theatre Cast, 9, 2009, Original Motion Picture Soundtrack.
Awards and nominations.